Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Shadow Magic Sorcerer multi-class with the Sword Bard in Baldur's Gate 3. Now this is the newest subclass in patch 8, and where this becomes powerful is we get some great spells, the new shadowblade that was added, the new booming blade, so we can pair well with the Sword Bard, and we also got some darkness that we can hide out in. We don't have to use darkness, but the Sorcerer is a very powerful spellcaster that uses charisma the same as the Bard. Now, for our cantrips that we'll be focusing on, I like to have Booming Blade early, also Bone Chill, Ray of Frost, and Firebolt for the rest, just to cover different elemental damage types, because we have the Hound of Ill Omen, which can apply omens on targets. So we also wouldn't mind having Chromatic Orb as another option there, but I like to have Magic Missile and Shield at level 1 here, and then we're obviously going Shadow Magic, and then for our ability score, I think it's best to build around our Dexterity and Constitution, so going with something of a stat spread of 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, wisdom, and 16 charisma works well here. So I'll also be covering different gear options that we could focus on, as well as showing this off in combat so you get an idea of how to play this and make the most out of it, because we got melee attacks, we got spell casting, we kind of do it all. At level 2 we start to get our meta magic, so twin spell and distance spell, giving us a 50% increase in the range of our spells, and being able to twin haste is really nice. We also get our next spell slot, and I recommend Chromatic Orb, although Thunder Wave is another nice one because you get the pushback off on enemies, but the Bard also learns that, so we can save it for later. Now, level 3, we get some great choices. We get ourselves Shadowblade, which can create a Shadow Sword, and what's crazy about Shadowblade is we can make it do 4d8 of psychic damage, which is doubled if you have the Resonant Stone, so that becomes the strongest build in the game. But if you don't want to use something like that, we also got Scorching Ray, Hold Person, and Misty Step for other great spells here. I think that just Shadowblade is probably the best choice, but we'll go with Scorching Ray and then take Shadowblade next. Misty Step obviously being a very powerful spell. Now the big thing with the Sorcerer is Quicken Spell, so we're going to take that. Obviously get ourselves that extra bonus action spell, super useful. At level 4 we get ourselves another cantrip, so I'd recommend taking Acid Splash so we get an acid spell in case the Omen applies acid. And then we'll take our Shadowblade, again Misty Step, Hold Person being two other great options. And then we'll take our charisma up with our feat to take it up to 18. This is going to be our spellcasting modifier, so we definitely want that high. Next level, we got access to some more great spells. Haste, as I mentioned, because you can twin haste to yourself and another ally. Fireball, Counterspell, and Lightning Bolt. I think Lightning Bolt and Fireball are the two best for damage dealing if you want to go focus on that. And that's honestly a pretty good solid choice to go with too. At level 6, we get ourselves the Hound of Ill Omen, 3 sorcery points and a bonus action. We can create a dog who can splinter off into more dogs, and it's great for tanking, disrupting concentrations, and just being a nice, good boy. So for our last spell from the Sorcerer spell list, we're going to go with Fireball there. Although again, Counterspell can be nice, and Haste is good too. However, if you get someone else that can apply Haste, you can always just focus on that. Or if you don't want to use Haste, some people don't like it. Now, at level 7, this is when we add in the Bard. So with the Bard, we're going to be focusing on mostly crowd control spells. Vicious Mockery is too funny not to take, Mage Hand or Minor Illusion being two great spells as well. Now for our spell list, Healing Word gives us a nice reliable bonus action heal if someone goes down. Dissonant Whispers, Frighten a Creature for psychic damage. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, although Longstrider is another nice choice, and Fairy Fire as well. And as mentioned, Thunder Wave is just really nice for that pushback, can potentially take out enemies. Level 3, we get the Jack of all trades, getting half proficiency bonus and an extra short rest. And we'll just go with a Long Strider spell here for our next leveled spell. Once we get to level 3, this is when we take... I unfortunately don't love the College of Glamour Bard, so we're going to go with the College of Swords. It's just a lot more offensive. The reason being, we get ourselves the Slashing Flourish, which lets us range attack twice with a single attack. So we can do this 4 times with a single action, which is crazy. Once we hit level 6, that is. And we also have Defensive Flourishes, increasing our armor class, but the Slashing Melee Flourish is really nice too. Now at our next level, we can take Hold Person since we didn't take it from the Sorcerer, and we'll go with either Shield, Sword and Shield, go dueling, 2-weapon fighting, go with that obviously. I like dueling for the wearing a shield is really effective. Now we also got ourselves level 4 feat, which will take the ability score improvement. For the cantrip, Minor Illusion, and for the spell, Heat Metal is nice. Invisibility gives you another option, gives a bit of stealth. Shatter is another good spell. Your personal preference here. We already got most of the spells that we want on our list. Level 5, increase our Bardic Inspiration to 1d8, and we get level 3 spells with Glyph of Warding being a good one. Even Fear is good because you can create disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and it makes targets drop their weapons, which is so nice. Plant Growth is another non-concentration based crowd control, which can quarter movement speeds, although be careful with fire damage. Now level 6, we get our extra attacks, we got extra attack, we got a dog, we got spells all the way up to level 6. We can take plant growth here. We got a lot of different things coming all together now. So what this will end up looking like in terms of gear. So I think that going with the Helmet of Arcane Acuity is great because Arrow of Many Targets can make ourselves get a +10 to our Arcane Acuity, meaning we have a +10 to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, so people don't, resist that. We can cast spells without much worry. Cloak Protection for better armor class. Now, the Helmet of Arcane Acuity works great with the Act 3 Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, which gives you a bonus action, enchantment, and illusion spells. So our Hold Person, even Dissonant Whispers being cast as a bonus action without requiring us to do Quicken spell, which is quite huge. I like the Armor of Agility because the Sword Bard gives us medium armor proficiency. We also got the Helldust Gloves for additional fire damage on our melee attacks and better spell attack roll and spell save DC. Evasive Shoes gets our armor class up to 26, which is solid with Viconia's Walking Fortress. Now I have marked a Heshkir here for a reason. We're actually going to want to use the Infernal Rapier, which gives us a bonus to our spell save DC, gives us a summon, and it uses our spellcasting modifier for attack rolls. But I'll show you why we're going to swap this around because we have another spell, which is pretty crazy. So you can use a staff. The Staff of Spell Power is another good choice because we want the free cast from it. Now we also got the Ring of Protection, Hellrider Longbow, which can apply Fairy Fire and gives you a bonus to initiative. And the Amulet of Greater Health. Use your best available amulet or ranged weapon at the time. If you have the Titan String Ball, that's another good one. You could use Strength Potions to really maximize the damage. But we also got a Shadowblade spell, which is very, very strong. So we could go ahead with that. This will give us the basically Kreska's favor, so we can go with the Lightning Bolts of Doom here, which is really good. But we can always go ahead with that Arcane Battery, free cast of Shadowblade, and make sure it's upcast, because this will give us that 48 on Shadowblade, which is really good. So what that looks like is we got this very powerful 48, upwards of 48 damage, and we also got the Resonance Stone, which will double the damage. So that gives us the most damage possible. It becomes really crazy. And so that gives us the Band of Mystic Scoundrels buffed up. Everything about this is very powerful, so I'll show what to do in combat here. And before we enter combat, we can always summon in the Hound of Ill Omen. This will just persist, like it's permanent. If you go with your long rest, it sticks around with you, which makes it the goodest boy. So this is a great way to get ourselves into combat. The nice thing about this too is we have a large range between Fireball and Lightning Bolt. So you can see here, we can actually hit a ton of enemies with this single attack here. So that's probably one of the best single target damages, Lightning Bolt and Fireball, for that reason. And that's why I wanted to go with them with the Sorcerer. So now that we're in combat, we have high initiative. We can go in and do some crazy stuff because we got our Slashing Flourishes here, which can actually do quite a bit of damage. So with this, we have just a Slashing Flourish upwards of 58 damage, and it's psychic damage, so that's obviously quite strong. So we'll go ahead here, taking out these two targets, and we'll just roll a crit on them. 106 damage, 56 damage. That is crazy. So we'll follow that up against another caster here, and yeah, 48 damage, easy insta kill, which sets up enchantment and illusion spells, so we can even do like Hold Person and some other shenanigans here to maximize this. We also got invisibility spells too, which we can do, but I recommend Hold Person because there's some spellcasters that are very annoying. We already got our Arcane Acuity up to a +6 as well from those weapon attacks, so that can be good too. So then we just go with our Hold Person, that's 99% hit chance, perfect, and boom, they're all held in place. That is a nice first round. And our Hound of Ill Omen, which we can use to get in and bite targets, so that will apply the Omen on them with the ominous bite there. It's not going to hit often, and it's going to not likely, they're likely going to pass the save to not get hit by that, so that's just something to keep in mind. So we currently hold a concentration on them, but we're stuck here, so a Slashing Flourish to get out of this situation, because we proc opportunity attacks, 62 and 64 damage each. And then what we can do is we can just go in and then use the same thing on our critical for free critical hits here. So 126, 134, pretty crazy what this can do. We don't even need to use darkness because we're going around just completely one-shotting people with over, like some of these over 100 points of damage. So that's absolutely crazy. And then we can also get our Booming Blade off, which we haven't been able to do. So we can always go with another Hold Person. If you're able to get the command spell by adding in another subclass, that could be a nice choice as well, like a single level dip in the Cleric. Although that does use wisdom, so Paladin even is another choice if you wanted to add a few other levels, but even this works pretty well too. We only have 2 Bardic Inspiration die left, so we can go with a range attack that'll hit the same target twice. That's always a good way to go about it, and applying Fairy Fire as well. And Fairy Fire is nice because this will let your doggo get advantage on its attack roll, so 88% hit chance. Omen of Poison, perfect. And our dog can also splinter off into another dog, which is great. And that dog can splinter off into another dog. It's endless. So there's an Omen of Poison there, so we got to use Chromatic Orb. It's the only option that we got for poison damage. And you can also upcast this. Unfortunately, it's going to hit our dog, but I need to get that sorcery point back. So I just want to show that off there. Now we have 6 sorcery points again, so we can do our quickened bonus action spells. But also our attacks with psychic damage are very strong, so it's not a bad idea to get up close and do that. And we'll try to get the Ominous Bite off again. Still have advantage. Omen of Cold, perfect. And we broke their concentration. Good as boy. So we only have Ray of Frost for a cold spell, but we can go ahead with attacking with that, giving us that sorcery point back. Didn't work for some reason. And then since we don't have haste anymore, we are kind of stuck with what we can do. So we do have to use our quicken spells, but we have lots of spell slots. So that's one of the nice things. We can always go with like a upcasted magic missile here and just blast away with that, which hopefully will take her out. Boom, that was good. And we're able to apply an Omen again. Nope, didn't happen. That's fine. So now we can finish them off just with a single blade attack, or you can do spell casting. It's really entirely your choice here. There's a lot you can do with a sorcerer because they do get the quicken spell here, which allows them to power up spells. You can even drop down a level 6 fireball if you wanted to, as yeah, that's going to do a lot of damage and take out the dog, so I'm not going to do that, but yeah, upcast the Scorching Ray is perfectly fine too to finish them off. So yeah, this is a fun class, multi-class with the Sorcerer and the Sword Bard. We even have, I didn't even cover it, but the Eyes of the Dark using 2 of your sorcery points to hide out in. I've gotten a lot of comments saying that I shouldn't be using darkness and build guys because it cheeses the game, but that is the best option we got here, so just wanted to cover that near at the end. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.